Just to prove that I do have my real estate license, that's a 10-plus-year-old photo of me. I just wanted to keep it real. My assistant wrote all this, so I haven't read it. So I'm assuming she nailed it. What do I do? At WebDriven, we're a small boutique digital marketing consultancy. We have a small client book list that we kind of handle a whole bunch of stuff for. If we took like the biggest rocks, PPC would be one of them. But I think one of the most important rocks is how we approach retargeting, hitting people up in the funnel. Our client book ranges from agents that have or brokerages that have hundreds of agents down to just a couple of agents. It's just them. Maybe they're 2 buyers agents, something like that, and everything in between. We've been doing this for about 5 years now. And so what I'm about to tell you is just kind of how it's presented itself to me and what our takeaways are, okay? Everybody loves to talk about the funnel, right? But most agents live at the bottom of the funnel. They have a lead provider that gives them leads. Their idea of leads are people that are ready to go right here, right now. Hopefully they're working the bottom of the funnel, and hopefully, the loyalty portion of the funnel is you guys have a lot of gold in your existing database. Everybody fixates on more leads. What we usually find is you don't have a lead generation issue, you have a lead conversion issue and staying on top of your leads. So when you talk about the funnel though, you're talking about the middle of the funnel, the top of the funnel now. The data that we have is that from when a lead gets generated to when a transaction gets closed is about 300 days, 10 months. So I was talking to a couple of people here this morning. They said something like 9 months, 11 months. So the data is pretty consistent. That sounds like, oh, that's great, 300 days. How many people are you going to nurture for 300 days? If you're getting 30 leads a month, and you just start stacking, you can see where this gets out of control really fast, and you wonder why agents aren't calling the leads, or why didn't you work your leads? It becomes overwhelming. One of the other things you have to think about is when someone's in your funnel, with the exception of your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, there are no exclusive leads. So if they're in your funnel, they're probably in Zillow's funnel, Realtor.com's funnel, several of your competitors' funnels, right? So all this stuff that you're doing to contact them, email them, text them, reach out to them, sign them up for search alerts, this is happening exponentially, okay? Because it's coming from Zillow. A couple of years ago, I noticed something. I'd go to Zillow, and you know how it prompts you to log in? I wouldn't log in, and within 5 minutes, I'd get an email from Zillow. First time it happened, I didn't think anything of it. Second or third time, I was like, okay, they know who I am. And that's just one platform. But the idea is that you're in all these funnels. The second you interact with anybody's funnels, you just get punished, okay? So what happens when you're in a bunch of funnels? If Google, AOL, Yahoo, they got together in January of 2024, and they put some restrictions on email deliverability. So if any of you guys used to be able to send a lot of emails and get them open, and now not so much, right? If they're not opening your email within 2 or 3 not opens, you're not making it to their inbox. You're in their junk folder, their spam folder, right? So if they're getting search alerts from you, and search alerts from Zillow, and search alerts from 5 of your competitors, et cetera, you're not really communicating. You're just part of noise. This isn't going anywhere, right? So doing this for a few years, playing around with a lot of different things, how do you create a signal amongst the noise? Video is a superior medium. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Video is 29 frames per second, 29 pictures per second plus audio. Everybody should be creating video. Just a little, that last video that you saw was AI, by the way. That was one of our clients. We got a couple of them that are trying out. They won't create video. Been working with them for years. You try to get them to create video, they won't. So they're using a platform called HeyGen. You might want to check it out. I know there's a lot of platforms out there right now that are kind of bubbling up. HeyGen and Synthesia. I thought the output looked pretty good. I can tell you this, it's a lot better than not creating any video at all. So ideally, you would create the video. Next best is AI. We're going to talk about video in YouTube specifically. So here's some stats. I won't read them off for you. You guys can check them out, but it's like overwhelming. YouTube is huge. It's this last year, it surpassed the #1 platform is TVs over mobile. So most people are sitting at home and watching, and YouTube's it's big, right? It's like it would be the biggest streaming service if it was considered a service. People spend a bunch of time on it. Bottom line is YouTube's big. I'm sure you guys are all on YouTube. Okay, so what kind of videos should you create for YouTube? We'll get into that. I usually like 2 categories of videos. One we'll call evergreen, right? These are the ones you make one time. You don't have to make them over and over. They're timeless. So when we get new clients and they say, what video should I make? I say, okay, what are your unique selling propositions? Like if I walked in your office and I wanted to list my house, or I was thinking about buying a house and I said, hey, why should I work with you? Whatever your USPs are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have just one, hey, I'm the best. That's it, baby. Or if you've got 37, like, I'm glad you asked. I have a 37-point reason. It doesn't matter. You should turn every one of those into at least one video. I'm going to talk about the formats in just a second, but you should create those USPs and you should think of video as a way to communicate with your potential buyer or seller. Just like a voicemail drop, you don't expect them to immediately call you back. You want to fire that off. A great thing about YouTube is it's insanely cheap to deliver this video in front of people, and Google gives you tools where you can really target the right people, the people that are in your funnel, instead of targeting everybody, okay? So evergreen videos. Some of the best videos I've seen are, hey, you should interview, if you're thinking about selling your home, interview more than one agent. If realtors have like an all cash instant offer program, just explaining how they're gonna market their home. Those are evergreen videos. Create them one time and they should run all the time, year round. We run them on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're moving into TikTok here pretty soon. But the point is we target people in the funnel and then we push your message in front of them over and over. And you don't want to touch 3,600 people. You want to touch 100 people 36 times. The first time someone sees your ad and they retain it is probably the 11th time they've seen it. This goes back to what, I can't remember, someone on the panel said like you get 6,000 to 10,000 ads a day. That sounded insane. I knew it was a lot, but that was like, wow. I saw Russell Brunson talking about, in the 80s when I was growing up, the average attention span of an American was 22 minutes. And that's why the 30-minute sitcoms, 22 minutes. I saw something the other day that said they thought it was 4 to 9 seconds. So yeah, that's pretty bad. We're getting bombarded, right? Okay, so you have to hit them a lot. That's the great thing about YouTube. When you're paying anywhere from less than a penny to maybe some of your longer videos 4 cents, that's a lot of impact when you spend $1, if you wire it up correctly. Okay, so the other type of videos are more the time-sensitive videos. One of the ones that I really like, because there's a lot of pressure when you say, hey, you guys got to create videos. Suddenly you think you got to be an SNL skit writer. You got to be entertaining. You've got to do all these things. And if that's you, if you're a natural entertainer, then God bless you. That's fantastic. Create those videos. But if you're like me, I am not an SNL skit writer. And so I would like more a framework or a template where I can consistently just create content. So market updates are fantastic. The best market updates I see, the agent simply prints out last month's numbers from the MLS, the month before, and then 1 year prior, and all they do is read it off and compare it. They start off the video with introducing themselves. Hey guys, this is JoeyGartin. I'm gonna give you your November 2025 market update. Let's just get into the numbers. They read it off. Maybe they give some why the numbers, oh, well, I think it's down because we're going into seasonal, or interest rates are a little bit higher than they were last year. But they don't have to worry about trying to entertain and dance and be Ryan Serhant, right? Okay, so another great one is listing tours. If you'll walk through a home, and this can be guerrilla style. I would say, a lot of people think that this has to be super polished video. I got a question. I think it was Chase and I were talking yesterday, and we were talking about quality versus quantity. And I said I lean towards quantity. There's a bottom bar for quality, which means like, if you're really, really bad, then quantity is not any good, but the bar is pretty low. People will put up with bad video. They won't put up with bad audio. So get a good microphone, but you can have your camera and you can be walking through the house and moving around and it's bouncing a little bit. People love that. Okay, I mean, think about all the home flipping shows and all stuff. People like going in and seeing stuff. So listing tours are a really good video that you can make that's just more time sensitive. We got some of our clients to start doing podcasts. That was like pulling teeth. But the first one does it. The first one starts to get some great feedback from it. Then all of a sudden the second one does it and it starts to snowball. So are people really watching your podcast? Probably not. It's because it's dry, it's real estate, right? But we'll take the podcast, we transcribe it. More importantly, we'll take the podcast and we'll cut it up into a bunch of little snippets. Otherwise, if you could just write these little snippets and you want to just create them, great. But oftentimes it's just easier to have a podcast, have a sit down. The content that you're creating, I don't know how to put it to say, like, it almost doesn't matter. What matters is it's your face and you're talking real estate. People aren't going to retain every little thing you said. Every now and then there'll be a snippet about interest rates going down or there being low inventory, and they might comment on that. But for the most part, this 4 to 9 second attention span, people aren't really retaining it. What matters is they're seeing your face, your brand. Nelson was talking about your face. He's right, it's 100%. You know, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, right? He did the first software where he did some kind of dating thing and he noticed that people really engaged in faces. That's what these videos are really for. That's why you don't have to get too caught up in the message or your script. You could definitely, I mean, if that's your thing, if you're really good at writing, then by all means do it. But too many people are scared to do it because they think they don't have the right thing to say. And the reality is, just have conversations, just talk real estate, just do some updates, right? So you've got evergreen content that you run all the time. Now you've got material that you're producing on maybe like a monthly basis. To give you an example, one of my top performing clients, he films everything in 1 hour each month. He does his market update, he sits down, he does his podcast, we get that base content, we slice it up into shorts and reels, and that's his entire month. And he publishes about 12 to 15 videos out of that a month, right? So you really don't have to do this super huge. So I like it when my clients will take their unique selling proposition, they'll go ahead and read out the long one, right? Hopefully you can keep it at 48 seconds, that's a magic number. It's okay if you go a little over, no big deal. But then they'll create like almost like a teaser 15-second version, right? So I'm like, hi, Joey Gartin with Joey Gartin Real Estate. If you're thinking about selling your home, you might be interested in an all-cash instant offer that can close in 14 days or less. Give us a call if you're interested in that, right? That's your 15-second version. In the 48-second plus version, you can get more details in, hey, this can be a 14-day escrow, there's no inspections, whatever you want, right? But what I love about that is when we combine these in the campaigns, they're getting bombarded with all this. They'll be forced to watch this a few times. This 15-second video, depending on your market, is gonna cost you probably 2 to 3 cents. This is gonna be one of your more expensive ones. This one we already said is probably gonna be under a penny. So you can see, they're gonna see this several times for like 30 cents. That's very impactful. Then if they are interested, they'll usually end up watching through the 48-second version. And if they're not, then it doesn't matter anyway. If they're not interested, you don't want to waste time, right? The next one is the verticals. These are your YouTube Shorts, your Facebook and Instagram Reels, and like I said, TikToks. This is the typical vertical form. These can be a little bit longer. I mean, if you have something to say that's interesting, try not to break 90 seconds. Instagram won't let you boost anything over 90 seconds. Facebook will, but they go back and forth. Facebook and Instagram are part of the same platform, but it's kind of weird sometimes. The restrictions will bounce back and forth. But Instagram, if you try to boost it over 90 seconds, it says no dice. So if you were gonna start tomorrow and really commit to video, you'd sit down and you'd list out all the reasons anyone would list their home with you, all the reasons a buyer would work with your agency, and for each one of those, you'd create these formats, okay? Whether it's you creating it or whether you decide that you're gonna go the AI route, either way, that's better than not creating it. And when you do this, you'll be ahead of 99% of the agents in your MLS. So let's talk about how do we target these people, okay? So what you do is you build audiences in Google and Facebook. I'm gonna talk about Google right now because Google owns YouTube, and YouTube ads are really Google ads, right? The video campaign. So when we're creating a campaign, we create a few different audiences. We make sure that your website's tagged with Google tag and the Google ads tag. So then we can say, hey, I want to, audience number one is, I'll segment buyers from sellers, right? I'll say, okay, here's all the pages on my website. Here's the pages that are just for sellers, like our instant home value, why would you list with us, et cetera, et cetera. We'll create those audiences and analytics. Then we can pull them into Google ads, and that's an audience. So for our buyer funnels, we'll say, hey, any buyers that visit these pages in the last 30 to 60 days, that's one group. Another thing we'll do is you can build a custom affinity audience. So you can go to Google and say, here's a list of all my competitors' websites. And guess who I always start with? Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Trulia.com, Remax.com, Call a Banker. But go get the 5 biggest competitors in your site. You know, John Smith Realty, Lisa Jones Realty. You put them in there, and you create a custom affinity audience, right? So that's audience number 2. Audience number 3, what we do is we wire up your CRM, whether it's Follow Up Boss or Lofty or Sierra, it doesn't matter. We wire these directly up with Google. So these are custom audiences that are getting updated in real time. And if you segment out your CRM correctly, right? So give you an example, I have a client, his stages are active, A, B, C, D, based on how far out they are, right? So we create those same audience in Google Ads, and then we wire up the CRM so they're updated daily. And a seller in D and a seller in A are gonna see the same exact ads. Here's the difference. We turn up the frequency. As you go through the funnel, how many times you see his video goes up. That's the power of segmenting, right? So we get to create all these custom audiences, and then we run the campaigns, the video ads in front of them. An example of like a one-off funnel that I really like is somebody will buy like a list of predictive analytics, or you might go to RedX and you might get expireds, canceled, FSBOs. You'll create videos that are specific to that audience. So if I was gonna target canceled, I would have all my normal seller USPs. I would make sure that I'm producing my normal monthly content, but I would create a couple of videos where, hey, was your house listed and it didn't sell and you're wondering, is it my house or was it my real estate agent? Well, I've got the answer for you. There'd be some message that's very specific. If I was going after divorcees, I would start off with the hook of, hey, are you going through a divorce and you don't know how to handle probate? Whatever list you can think of, our clients give us the list. They give us some custom assets, and then we wire that up. You can upload those lists to Google, upload them to Facebook, give the assets, and then run them directly in front of them. Some of the best funnels as far as ROI have been where they've created a couple of videos, they created a postcard, and we've run that funnel in from 30 to 60 days. I think one of the best ones we had was, I think he spent $9,000, and I think he tracked $47,000 in GCI, and that was in 60 days. So that's pretty good ROI, right? He was going after luxury homes. I think he used a platform called Property Radar.
So you spent $9,000, made $47,000?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And you know where the bulk of that money was spent on the postcard. He only spent a couple $1,000s on digital ads. It was the postcards is what was insanely expensive.
Okay, sounds like a little recipe.
Yeah, we do that all the time. The clients, they'll send us lists, and like I said, but you got to create those assets, and those video assets are so powerful. You're kind of, if you're just cold sending the postcard without pre-framing, I mean, you're spending $1, and for 15 to 20 cents more, you could really super increase the effectiveness of that postcard. So much of what you guys hear is absolute BS, right? I'm gonna keep this PG. It's absolute BS. So, and lots of times we've had clients come to us and we kind of have to deprogram them, right? So they're coming from me. I really don't want to put anybody down, but I really want to say somebody's name. Ryan Serhant is not a real estate broker, guys. He's an actor who answered a casting call, and he is a media head, right? So too many agents are trying to build this organic brand of where I want tons of followers and I want lots of likes. That's not real estate. If you're going for popularity in that regard, then you need to be writing a book, and you need to have a TV show, and you need to be doing that stuff. But that's not going to move the needle in listings and picking up buyers. It just doesn't, okay? You're going to have to do it through paid means. You're going to have to pay for it. None of these people focus on getting subscribers or followers. What they are focused on is getting views in their funnel. The way we wire up their ads, these views are from people that have been going to real estate websites in the last few months and hitting, doing searches for real estate. That's what you should be going for, not popularity.
Subscribers and followers is not as good as views and dollars. Okay.
How many people, by a show of hands, how many people here buy insurance for anything? Your car, your house, right? Yeah, okay. How many of you subscribe to your insurance guy's podcast? Exactly. It's transactional. You don't have to be, if you want to be an entertainer, if that's your thing, if you want to be Ryan Serhant, then by all means go for it. But too many times we get clients and they're coming from this like, how do I become viral? Bite a chicken's head off on camera? I don't know. You'd probably go viral. You know what I mean? Start street fighting, maybe, right? Join Fight Club. That's a good way to go viral. It's too much stress. Now you have to be a script writer and you have to be an actor and an entertainer. That's not what you want to go for. What you want to go for is you want to be known as a real estate professional. And you want people that are in the real estate funnel to see how you're a real estate professional. Okay? Sorry, I know. And I love Ryan Serhant. Dude, I wish I could meet the guy. I do. Sorry, Ryan. If you're watching this, I apologize. Okay, next.
What's the biggest mistake that agents make with YouTube?
Biggest mistake is not creating any content. That's far and away, I mean, that's just, like I said, the quality bar is low, and I'd rather you go for quantity, right? I'm trying to think off the top of my head somebody that did something really bad, but I can't. I'll tell you this, I had a client years ago, before I started working with the current group, and I knew video was where it's at, so I got him to create a video. And he created a video, and it was awful. Oh my gosh, it was so bad that people made fun of him behind his back, right? And he showed it to me, and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Brilliant, you nailed it." Okay, went live, sold a house. Fast forward 5 videos later, he went from like, I don't know what to do with my hands, like, "Hi guys, Eddie here." Nailed it, crushed it. So even the cringe, it was like we had to get him through that, Ernest Hemingway, the first draft of anything is. You got to get past that. You got to blow past that cringe. Like, we had another group, their video up there. It took them forever to do the podcast. I was telling the story of Chase last night. They did the first podcast, and it was awful. And they asked me, "What do you think?" I said, "You nailed it. You crushed it." They did the second podcast, and a week later, we're on our big mastermind call, and they go, "This podcast thing works. We got 2 listings that were both over 800,000. Neither one of them was in our database, and both of them referenced the podcast." They probably referenced the shorts, the reels. They probably didn't sit and watch the 30 minutes. But the 30 minutes of talking got the 6 40-second snippets, and they got 2 listings. It's anecdotal, but still. I mean, and then now they do podcasts, they do all kinds of videos. You know what I mean? They're actors now.
People are going away from stuff that they can't trust or someone that's highly marketed or made really pretty versus people just getting on their phone camera and talking, like being real. Do you see one getting more views than the other?
Yeah, being authentic and guerrilla. That's why I said the quality bar is low. You don't have to have a super studio and lighting. It's not necessarily bad, but the more, you guys all hear the term be authentic. What does that even mean? If I was authentic right now, we'd be doing this over remote, and I'd be in my pajamas. So, but being authentic, so that's why I like the iPhone way better. But I think you can do both. I think you can create your evergreen videos, sit down, book with a videographer one day. You only have to create those once, but then your normal stuff that you make all the time, yeah, absolutely, an iPhone and a good microphone.
What are some metrics that you should look for as far as number of views on a video, and how much budget should you have put aside to get to whatever that goal metric is?
Well, some of the metrics you can look is the average length that they watch on the video. So you can go look at the video and see where they fall off. The numbers are pretty consistent. Our attention span is ridiculously low. But if you find some of the videos, and now that you brought that up and what she said, I wish I'd have had another example. But if you find certain videos people are watching through way more, then create more content like that. If it's a topic or if it's a style. So one of our clients started filming, his daughter started working in his office, and they would do these ad hoc things where she'd walk up and she'd say, "Hey, Josh," and "Oh, hey, Tay, what's up?" And those videos where he would it was just something, it was a question that they were getting a lot, like, "Are interest rates gonna go down?" It's like, "Hey, are interest rates gonna go down, Dad?" Like, "Well, it's hard to say, blah, 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 blah." We noticed that the view through those was the longest percentage-wise. They were usually about 40 to 60 seconds. They were verticals, but they were very like ad hoc. They had this feeling of like, oh, we're pulling back the curtain versus him standing in front of the logo with a business suit on saying, this is market update, right?
So would you put some dollars behind that to let that one get more traction? And
oh yeah,
how much would you put on that? Like a typical spend, or what's a budget to have in mind for a plan?
It's all over the place. A big part of it is what is your target area and how can we target your area? If you're in like a rural area where it's, you know, it's, there's not a whole lot around and you have a smaller population. Like Chase yesterday was telling me his area and I said, you shouldn't even bother, just target the whole area. Your area is small enough that just let Google figure it out on who wants to. Sometimes when I work with agents that are in these heavily congested areas like Southern California or the Bay Area, we have to be more specific because there's too many people, right? If you were going to do PPC, I would say that you should take 10% of your budget for video retargeting. Okay. Like if we were going to sit down and you say, Joey, this is my entire budget I have for marketing, and we're going to do lead generation, then I would say we need 10% of that budget to be just video retargeting all these leads we're going to generate in your database. Okay. But I have some clients that come to me and it's real obvious they're not really going to work these leads. So 100% of their budget is this. So they might say, hey, look, I've got $700 a month budget. I'm a single agent. I'm like, dude, $700 a month, we're going to blow people out of the water. They're going to know your name. No problem.